Can anybody guess the number one reason why companies fail when starting to add team members like lead management acquisitions? Anyone can guess the biggest reason why? Let's say like the top three. You can have an opinion on multiple of those. The cost, job isn't clear, process training, poor onboarding. Yes to all of those. So it is a combination of a couple different things. The biggest reason though is process. Um, all of the above, and it's not a guess, it's experience. Exactly. So there's a lot of it depends on what type of organization you are. Okay, meaning what type of marketing you do. That's a really big factor in this equation on whether you should even have a lead manager right now or not. Okay. The very first, if I was just giving on like, hey, these are the, if I'm going to do like a consult with a company or one of you guys asked the question and I can kind of sense that there's this situation going on. The first thing, the red flag is that they have not closed a certain amount of revenue yet. Right? Like that's the biggest red flag right away. Like I've hired a lead manager, but I haven't even closed like 10 transactions yet, for example. Um, and that's because these leading indicators show either a potential mindset of the business owner and what the progression they're going down. Like a big one is I closed one deal, I got $30,000, so I hired 4 cold callers and 1 acquisitions. Like this happens so often. And then what happens is the organization doesn't get the momentum it needs, it doesn't have the resources it needs, and so you end up hitting a block wall, and you have to readjust things, which typically is get rid of the cold callers, and figure out something else where I keep the cold callers, and I think the marketing is what's wrong here. And so it creates basically this lack of clarity and certainty, right? So if you're gonna hire a lead manager, it's really important that you've already established consistent lead gen and you're closing consistent deals, ideally. Okay. Um, do you have to be closing a deal every month to have a lead manager in the chat? What do you think? Do you have to be closing deals every single month to have a lead manager? This is kind of a no, you do not. You actually do not have to have a deals closed every single month to have a lead manager. What you want to do is if you're flipping houses, right? I mean, you might only do 6 deals a year flipping houses, and you can make an income, right? You can do just fine. Now, if you're silly with the way you market, you'll go broke, right? But you can buy houses from wholesalers, flip houses, and have your own outbound marketing, be spending very marginal amount, have a total overhead of only like 30K a year in your business, and flip 12 houses a year, and not be closing on a house every single month, but have a pipeline, right? Which means that in order for you to manage all those projects, like you'd have to have a lead manager, right? So make sure you guys have consistent lead gen, right? That's a really big part. Making sure you have consistent lead gen is really, really important. Making sure that you've already proven a process, so you've already done a process and you have closed the deal from that process. All right. The only time that this is not the case, okay, is if it's someone that already has more like larger pockets than they do time. Okay. It's very normal for someone to be like, okay, I got say 50 grand in the bank. I have a good W-2 job and I want to start wholesaling houses, but I'm doing it for the purpose of building a rental portfolio. So it's not uncommon to have someone who starts a real estate business, quote unquote, but the only reason they're doing it is because they wholesaled properties in order to buy properties. That's literally the only thing. It's not because they're trying to make money from it. It's not because they're making a living from it. It's because they're using it as an investment strategy. This is totally normal and that's acceptable. So you got to understand your own circumstances here. But no matter what, there has to be a process and it has to be defined and it has to be repeatable. And you got to be able to watch it and you got to be able to spend the time to nurture it and do audits regularly to make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Which is what this training is going to be a really good thing to be able to make sure we're doing that. Okay. Now, for those that are doing this themselves and doing acquisitions and doing marketing, or you're at least doing like lead management and acquisitions, what can happen is you could be wearing one. I don't have any of my hats next to me, but you can be wearing one hat and then you go to do the next role and you never remove the hat and put the next one on. No handoff, because in your mind, you are the person doing both things, which is true, but it makes the processes become one thing rather than two separate processes. And so you end up never actually developing a lead management process and an acquisitions process. You just have a singular fire that is being like maintained from spreading. And this makes it very difficult then, because when you go to hire a lead manager so that you can solely focus on acquisitions and dispositions or your project management, they don't really have the process dialed in to execute on, because you never stopped, because you don't have time to stop, in your working day for a week to document it and build the videos and do the things. And so they come into your business and now you're trying to do all the stuff you got to get done while also trying to train a lead manager and fix their mess ups, because you didn't really have a process, because you didn't create it, because you were both people. The biggest common thing here is like, if you're the sole owner of the business and you're doing all these things and you answer a phone call from like direct mail, let's just say, when you're on the phone, you're not going and qualifying them and then handing off to an acquisitions and then they're making an offer. Like, you're going all the way to the offer on one phone call most of the time. And so you've just skipped like 15 processes that normally need to happen in your business at scale to just from 1 to Z, or A to Z. And that happens most of the time. And then again, it's not documented, it's not repeatable. And so the biggest thing I can say to you guys, and then we're going to share our screen, actually start working through our slides here, or our document, is that you got to slow down a little bit when we're this person that's in the lead management, the acquisitions, and still do all of the annoying things that your teammates are going to have to do. And if you're one of the teammates, not all of it's fun. Some of it is annoying. And we have to do the process. We got to build the repositions, because if we put the reps in, the annoying things just become part of our day-to-day life. It's like, who here actually enjoys brushing their teeth? I don't know about you guys, but it's not something I wake up like, I'm so excited. It's a necessity because I can't stand the taste in my mouth when I wake up in the morning. I don't think anybody really enjoys the taste in their mouth when they wake up in the morning. But like, you brush your teeth because it's something you got to do. Not very many people enjoy and thrive going to the gym. Not very many people enjoy cooking. But if you don't eat, some people actually literally don't even enjoy putting like the process of eating food. Like, there's just things you just got to do because it's part of life. And there's certain parts of our jobs that we just got to do because it's part of what's needed in order to make sure the job gets done. Okay. And so some of these things today may seem like, that's silly. I don't want to do that. That's an extra step that I don't really think needs done, but it all stacks on top of each other. And so slow down a little bit and complete that task and then move it to the next phase.